everybody, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel, and today I want to actually talk to you about my experience with my bullet journal over the past year and also how I'm going to be moving forward into 2019. I have a whole different system to explore and lots of stuff to show you, so this is probably going to be a long one, but if you want to hang out with me, then maybe grab a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, settle in with me, and let's just get right into it. There's not even going to be a jump cut because I don't roll that way. So first, what I want to talk about actually is last year I first got started with a bullet journal. Now, I'm not really a planner, to be honest. I'm a planner as a person, but using planners has not really been my thing. And I don't know exactly why I haven't really resonated with planners before. Perhaps too much structure, not enough, maybe too much sense of obligation to fill them in. But last year I discovered bullet journaling, and I managed to scoop up this like hardbound dot grid style bullet journal at Michael's for like $7 or something like that. Like, it was ridiculous, and it's actually a pretty good one. So if you are considering bullet journaling, that is a nice affordable version. And my vision for this, I think, started out kind of different than what it evolved to. But what it basically evolved to is I wanted a place to sort of track my tarot experiences, like daily card draws, and maybe do some planning, see if I could find like sort of a system that worked for me. So there was a lot of experimenting. I was seeing tons of images on Pinterest of beautiful journals. And disclaimer, y'all, there's nothing about the inside of this that is going to be beautiful. There might be the occasional page where you're like, oh, that's nice, but like, my handwriting is a mess. This is meant to be a working tool for me, and my handwriting is special. So I do a lot of personal writing in my bullet journal, so I've got a lot of like paper clips where I clip pages together. So I'm not going to be showing you a ton, but I'm going to be showing you a good amount of this. But before I jump into this, I want to chat a little bit about books of shadows, or book of shadows. So I've been a practicing witch of some form or another now for like 20 plus years, and in all of that time I have always envisioned myself having this very like charmed, leather-bound, beautiful, aged page book of shadows, because that appeals to me so much. I think they're beautiful. I think it would be so neat to have something that I could, like, I don't know, just catalog everything in a beautiful way. But I don't write beautifully, and as much as I want to write beautifully, I don't have the patience or even the interest, as much as I've considered trying, in really beautifying my writing, especially my day-to-day writing. And so I have multiple times over the years gotten a beautiful book with the intent to create a book of shadows, create a couple pages, and then the whole thing languishes, or I don't use it at all and it just sits there taunting me. I mean, please thumbs up this video or like comment down below how cheesy is this, but it's fun. If you have done this, gotten a beautiful book, been like, I'm going to write all my spells and my rituals and all of the correspondences and all the good stuff, and then just didn't because it's too pretty and you don't want to mess it up. And I feel like I'm for sure not alone in this, because I've definitely seen references to other people having this experience. So I think when I started the bullet journal, I was kind of thinking, okay, well, instead of a book of shadows, what if I just kind of have a planner and like keep track of some things and kind of witchy light sort of thing. But I've tried other things too. Sorry, I'm going to just go back to the point I was just making. I've tried other things too. So I've had heavy 3-ring binders, even really beautiful 3-ring binders. For a while I had one of those like scrapbook style, so it was like leather bound and you could add pages and remove pages, and I had page protectors, and I was keeping correspondences and printouts and beautiful things. It got too unwieldy. I started collecting everything. I couldn't easily move things around. Like, I could still take it apart, but it was still not lazy like lazy the way I needed it to be lazy. And I was really hung up on prettiness. And handwriting is never going to be pretty for me, which means whatever system I use to keep things that matter to me from a magical or witchy perspective, I need to be able to type it out. Because handwriting, no. At least for things I want to keep. So that actually is going to bring me to sort of squirreliness is happening, just hang out with me. But here's the thing. So I'm going to talk about what I did in 2018 with my bullet journal, and I'm going to take you through some pages and show you kind of what my experience has been, and then I'm going to talk about more what I'm going to do, because what I really want for next year is I want a book of shadows, in the sense that I want to be able to keep things that are really meaningful for me in some kind of organized way that I can refer to permanently. I don't want those things necessarily mixed in with a planner. But I also want to be able to use the sort of witchy planning stuff and tarot planning sort of tools that I got into with this, which I'll show you. And I want to also be able to sort of journal and chronicle magical workings and things that work or that I try or that I play with. So it's going to be a mishmash for next year, but let me go back to what I said I was going to do and show you what I've done. So in 2018, I think I started this right in January, I got this, and it actually came with a few pages in the beginning. It's like it was made for bullet journaling. And I've still got some blank ones left that were left here for an index. Now, if you're not familiar with bullet journaling, typically you use a bulleted system, so I've put a key in the front actually. I don't think I have a whole lot here. Okay, yeah. So this is fine to show. So I have my bullet points. So if I have a task, it's a dot. If the task is completed, then I exit out. If I move it, I do an arrow forward. I don't think I've ever done the arrow back. This is supposed to be forwarded or scheduled. I've never used this one, but I intended to apparently. A deleted task I usually just cross out. An event is usually a hollow circle. A note is a dash. If it's a priority or urgent, I think I planned to do a star, and if it needs research, an exclamation point. I don't think I used those 2 bullet points either. So it's really classic sort of bullet journal style, and I will try to remember to link in the description box below the original video that shows how bullet journaling works, because it's turned into, with Instagram and Pinterest, this really beautiful thing where people do really elaborate pages, and I really got excited about that and into that in the beginning, and then I found that what I needed was function and not beauty. So I want beauty, but I don't have the patience, time, or energy for beauty. So you'll kind of see that evolution happen. But so the purpose in the bullet journal is that you kind of build it as you go. So you journal and plan and do all of your stuff as you go. So the index in the beginning is so that you can chronicle where things are, so you can always easily refer back to them later. So I definitely really liked that feature and used that feature. And then the next section of my bullet journal I devoted to a future log. So a future log, this is how I did mine, is where you have sort of little monthly, like for each month of the year, and then a place to write notes, because the idea is that you're planning as you go, meaning you're not going to have all the 12 months in here from the beginning. So as things come up for the following months, you want to be able to log them somewhere so that when it's time to plan out that month, you can refer back to it and plug that information in. I also used the crap out of this section throughout the year. Less so in the beginning, because I was still figuring out what I was going to keep track of and stuff, but it definitely got much fuller towards the rest of 2018. So then I really wanted to have a section on the moons. So I created, I think I took this from, I don't think I sourced it on this page, but there's a lunar calendar I found online that had these sort of write-ups for the different phases of the moon. So I kind of put that in there with a little bit of washi tape on the top. This was when I was being really ambitious. And this is one of my prettier pages, which tells you something because it's really new. And then over here, I logged the dates and the names of the full moons and then the dates of the new moons. On the next page, I put a Wheel of the Year, which this was really a fun page to do. I found a really interesting thing that talked about the cycles of the year being resting, planting, growing, and harvest, which I really enjoyed. I put some stickers on here. What else did I put? Oh, I put that Yule to Beltane is the maiden time, Beltane to Samhain is the mother time. Excuse me. Is the mother time, and then Samhain to Yule is the crone time. I put in a couple of other trackers that were really super personal and some sort of savings trackers that I really abandoned partway through the year because life happened and Bruno's diabetes happened and savings didn't happen and tarot decks happened, so things got a little off track there and I just sort of stopped using it. But when I got into my monthly spreads, this is kind of what they would look like in the beginning. So I would map out my month on one page. And then on my other page, at least for January, I put some kind of events and appointments, some tasks. I didn't really stick with this. I also had some goals in particular sections down this side, which again, personal, so covered. And then I kind of started to get a feel for what I thought it was going to look like. So for January, I created a page, and I stuck with this format, I think, for a little bit, where I would do a 3-card tarot reading and then a 3-card Lenormand reading and basically make predictions based on those readings for the month. And that was actually really cool. This was a particularly neat practice for Lenormand, which was something I was more focused on at the beginning of this year, because I could kind of refer back and see how these cards ended up playing into the month. So that was kind of cool. And then I started with this really cool, exciting mood tracker, which I did for maybe 2 or 3 months, we'll see. And I also did a habit tracker, and that was pretty cool too. I was tracking things like making time for my spiritual practice, going to bed by a particular time, doing some yoga, taking bubble baths, like just things that I know are good for me and my sort of sanity. But I will say that this sort of system, it died pretty quick for me because it just became this extra chore that I felt like I had to squeeze in, and I wasn't getting the goodness out of it that I wanted. So then I got into trying really fancy, pretty weekly spreads. Now, I enjoyed doing these. Like, I felt really creative, but these were kind of time consuming, like planning out the weeks ahead of time, because I would do each day as I went, and I liked the free flowingness of it, and it was actually a great way to get into bullet journaling in the beginning. I would track the weather. I would also track on here daily tarot daily tarot draws, oracle draws, moons, if there was a full moon. So here I've got the wolf moon. Tasks, regular bullet journaling type of stuff. I used some washi tape to make it look prettier and some little flags that I copied off somebody's layout from somewhere. So that was pretty cool. And then I would insert neat things I wanted to catalog and save. So for example, this is some notes on a set of crystals that I put together for chakra work. So I've got each crystal noted here from root chakra all the way up to crown chakra, and then a few extra stones that I had put into a kit. And this was really great. And I found myself getting sad later and later in the year because I didn't want to do all of this work all over again, but this is my 2018 journal, and I knew I was going to be moving into a new system for 2019. And that sort of is what springboarded this idea that I'm probably going to want a different system for next year for this kind of stuff that I want to keep. So I continued on in that fashion, so some more stuff I've covered up, but I started to put in, like, I would do my days, and then whenever I did like a big tarot spread with notes, I would put that information in just wherever there was space, which I loved that ability to do that bullet journals have. And then I started to do a new spread for tarot and oracle draws. So this top half is tarot for the upcoming week, and this bottom half is oracle for the upcoming week. So I would set this page up ahead of each week, and I would just fill it in each day with the card draws, and I kept track of what decks I was using. But then, I don't remember if I found this or if I made this up, but I came up with this spread. And this spread gives me a full week on one page because I found that I wasn't needing a lot of, like you can kind of see, I didn't really need a lot of bullet space because there's not a lot I keep track of day to day that I really need to. So I had a little section here where I could use my bullets or do a second row or column rather if I needed it. I had a section to track the weather and the moons over here. And then I had that previous page where I was tracking all of my tarot and oracle draws for the week. So then I suddenly had my week compacted into like a single page, which was really cool. And then I could again insert, like here I did a new moon spread. I did a bunch of Ethany's full and new moons spreads throughout 2018. So that was cool. And then here's another collection I put a ton of time and effort into. So I created a whole big section in here with my keywords for all of the tarot cards. So I went all the way through every suit. And then I did a full page here with keywords for the Lenormand. And now I'm back to my weekly spread again. So I would interrupt my regular planning stuff to put things that I wanted to keep. And I was really excited at the time. And again, the further I got through 2018, the more I was like, I don't want to have to redo all this, but I don't want to have to go back for risk of sounding repetitive. I think I started to see that about halfway through the year. So February, I feel like I did a really pretty page. So I did my same month like usual. I did a different style of mood tracker that was like raindrops. That was kind of fun. Another habit tracker, but again, I don't know. I feel like trying to keep up with the habit tracker was more work than doing the habits the habit tracker was about. So then I had my weekly pages, which I had a bunch of personal stuff in February actually, so I've kind of clumped those together. But I also started to do things like track Instagram challenges. So this was 2018's Into the Wildwood Challenge, which I did long after the actual challenge part was over. But I had found it and I wanted to work my way through it. So I put all of the prompts, so the spreads that were involved and all the daily keywords in my bullet journal. Again, this was a really cool challenge, and I had it to refer back to for 2018. And then, some more spreads. So I made up a spread for in bulk that was really cool, and it was in the shape of Bridget's cross. So I had made that and shared it on social media. I had done another full moon spread here, so it was nice to be able to journal my tarot spreads. Here was a oracle spread that I did on my spiritual fears. I did another new moon spread. So I was really using this as a tarot journal hybrid with my regular planning. That's probably the most thing that's usually what this is containing. Moving into March, I still was making an effort here with pretty pages, and I used flowers for my mood chart, and the petals were all my different moods. I think part of the thing I didn't like about the mood chart was I feel like my moods are more complex, like they change throughout the day, and trying to pick which one I was for the most part that day sometimes made me feel bad. Like, oh, I've been really tired every day for like a week, but I wasn't really. I had tired bits, like I had tired times, but I wasn't tired all the time. So just things like that I found that just didn't resonate. But I tried a new weekly spread, and this one was a down style version, but I had tons of wasted space when I did this. I did try it, I think, for the whole month in March, and it didn't work. I thought I was maybe going to do some journaling at the bottom. Totally didn't. Still, though, tracking a card of the week. This time I was tracking it up at the top, here and here. So I had a tarot and an oracle card of the week. I still noted what decks I was working with. I think I still noted my daily draws for the most part. So I used that through February, and then we get back to April, and I'm back to this sort of 3-card tarot spread, 3-card Lenormand spread for the month, and then another challenge where I loaded all the prompts in. This was when I started doing Lion Hearts challenges on Instagram, and so I've got all those prompts listed. And then I had another really pretty, you can see me totally abandon the habit tracker here, but and the mood tracker too. Here was my tired week that I was talking about. So I was like, oh, coffee cup with little flowers. I found that on Pinterest somewhere. Still, this was when I think I started to realize that doing things the way I thought I was expected to do them with a bullet journal was not sticking. So I got back to the weekly spread that I really liked. I got back to the weekly tarot card draws, and I just continued with this version where I had these spreads on each page. Oh, something just fell out. Oh, I know what that is. And then my weekly spread down the side. So even when I wasn't using it that much, like here I didn't note any of my daily draws, even though I did them. I really liked this because it didn't take up tons and tons of space. And it was, I think, around April that I had a bunch of work drama, so a whole bunch of stuff just started happening, and this was not happening. This was not a priority. And then I started to kind of get back to it. And I think, see, so May, I kind of back to a pretty page for at least the month. And then I made a whole permanent page with some really cool 3-card spreads that I got from Kelly and Maddox and Imogen Walters. So that's cool. I referred to this a lot throughout the year, actually, so this is something I will definitely want to keep. And then I figured out an even easier way to set up my week. So I did my normal thing down the side here, but then I just drew the lines all the way across. And then this column was for tarot, and this card was for oracle for my daily draws. And this is literally the format I stuck with for the rest of the year. And I think it was the realization that I had stopped doing any kind of variety in my spreads. Like, I still loaded up my May challenge here, more spreads. But once I figured it out, you know, I did a couple different things here where I did a month ahead spread for my tarot. But I mean, I just stuck with, like, here's some totally blank ones, but I just stuck with this format. And what was nice is that I could load up the whole month of pages in advance, and then I could just fill them out as I go. Here we are in July. This was my birthday month, so lots of stickers on my page here. But yeah, you can see I just stuck with this, with the weather, with the daily card draws, and then again, extra spreads. This is a great one. This is the Bad Mood Tarot spread by the Van Mystic on Instagram. And look at the face I drew. I think I had to Google how to do that. I was so proud of that. It's so cartoony and cute. Should I stay or should I go spread from Little Red Tarot on Instagram. Then Bruno's diabetes happened in July, and my bullet journal became all about tracking his blood sugars and like what kind of food he was getting and trying to make sense of it all, because while he's fine, he's good, in the beginning it was really overwhelming, and I like to understand what's happening, and so I really relied on my bullet journal to be able to sort of track it and figure things out, how to navigate sort of his new normal. August, I'm back to my usual. So you can see that like what happened sort of for me, what evolved throughout the year was that I sort of went back to sticking with an established structure anyways. Now that I was in the habit of planning, I just didn't want to have to mess with creating a bunch of new pages. I did like being able to insert the things that I wanted to keep. Here's one where I created, nope, I think I found this, a trajectory tarot spread, and this one I believe I sort of created, and is he or she the one spread. I do use this in my client readings. This is fun. These were a couple of fun spreads that came up. Sorry for the swearing, but well, this is the shit sandwich spread, and this is the out of fuck spread. And I found these both online, probably through the For Love of Cards group. Some more planning here for Bruno's blood sugars. And then I made a note because I started using an app to track his blood sugars. Some 4-card spreads are in here also on this page that I was starting to collect or create. And then we're into September. And again, at this point, I know that I'm like embedded in the existing structure. So I'm going to spare you a whole bunch of extra pages. The only thing that really changed in October and November is that I created a monthly favorites page so that I could track my favorites for my favorites video at the end of the month. I think that's the only other thing that changed. And then now we're into November, and I started to log some of my favorites this month already. And my pages are the same. Basically, the only thing that has changed now is that I ditched weather because I realized I wasn't using that for anything. Like, it was kind of nice to know what the weather was going to be, but the moon phases, I realized I could still squeeze in there. And so I squeezed my pages into even less space, and I have a little spot to note my tarot and oracle each day, because I realized that I wasn't doing a lot of notes on my tarot and oracle. I was mostly just writing it in, and because I know what to reflect on that day if I know what they were. So that's really the last sort of change I made, and now I'm into blank pages for the rest of the year. And I've made some notes in the back, sort of upside down, for some things I want to do to prep for next year. And I have some colors. I tested some markers and things for bleed. But that was my experience with my 2018 bullet journal. So now I'm going to share with you what I'm going to do for next year. And I know I've been 22 minutes showing you what I did do, but it's kind of all relevant. Plus, I wanted to also show you guys that bullet journals can be messy and scrawly and scratchy, and that it's totally fine. Because it was a useful tool, and I learned a lot doing it. Next year. So I realized that because I was used to sticking with an established structure for my planning, I'd gotten to the point where I didn't need to create unique pages for each week. I didn't need a lot of space for the amount of planning that I do. I decided to go with an actual planner next year once I found out about this. So this is the Coloring Book of Shadows Planner from Magickal 2019 by Amy Cesari. She is on Instagram. I believe it was one of my connected people on Instagram that first tipped me off about this. This is awesome. She does have Coloring Book of Shadows books as well, and I love to color. But what caught my attention about this is that it's witchy, and wait till you see the format. So I'll get into some extra stuff here in a minute, but here's some things that initially caught my eye. In the beginning, there's the year at a glance. And now that I have an idea of how I plan, I know that I can use this to highlight or circle important dates. There is a whole bunch of extra stuff, which I will get into, but for the month, there's a whole monthly spread so that I can put all my appointments and my basic stuff. The moon phases are preloaded. You know what else is preloaded? The Sabbats. So I don't have to look those up or load them in myself. They're ready to go. And the way that she's got the actual planner portion spread, each week has a full page. So I could very easily, I realized when I first saw pictures of this online, I can do my bullet journaling in that amount of space because I'm already used to using almost this exact amount of space for my bullet journaling as it is. So I can use the bullet journal system to track my tasks and appointments like I'm used to, but I don't have to preload anything. It's already here for me, and it's got the astrological information that I want, probably even more than I was tracking in 2018, which is super helpful. The moon phases are in here, the Sabbats are in here, and I was like, well, that's all I need. I don't need space to put weather and mood trackers and habit trackers because I just stopped using all that stuff. And there's all this wonderful coloring, and I thought that what I could do is, I don't know that I'm going to color this whole thing, like I'm going to be realistic, probably not, but I like the idea that I can, maybe use some of the blank pages that are on some of the weeks to write intentions or goals, and use those pages like I would use bullet journal for including maybe like something just interesting that catches my attention that I don't want to save for perpetuity. Because that's what I regret about my bullet journal, is that there's stuff in here I know I'm going to want to copy into a new format, which I'll share. But if I want to keep it, I want it someplace where I can refer back to it every year, not just for that year. Does that make sense? So this also has fantastic information. I've got my, what is this? This is an astrological wheel. There is a page. Sorry if that's totally crude. Yeah, see, I've got my wheel of the year. I've got my seasons. So instead of me spending time setting all this stuff up, it's already here. And instead of setting it up and trying to make it pretty, I can color it to make it pretty. So I'm going to hopefully be doing some coloring through December to prepare some of these early, and look, some of these early pages. I just interrupted myself. Anyways, so here is a moon phase page, very similar to the one I created myself in my bullet journal. And this is what really caught my attention. It had all this stuff that I was really excited about having in my bullet journal, only it's all done for me. And in case I haven't mentioned it before, I am lazy and I want things done for me. That's just nice. There even are title pages at the beginning of each month that you can color, including something that talks about moon energy and spell ideas. Like, come on. And then stuff like this, like there's spells throughout. Like this is a witch's self-acceptance, a spell for empowerment and grounding. So I could color this and either use bits of this to do my own working or do that working. I'm not big on doing like pre-established workings. I tend to like let them inspire me to do my own thing. But still, like if I get into February, as another example, there's another title page with moon energy and spell ideas. Here's a different like thing you can do. Again, it's all colorable throughout. My only sadness is for some reason I thought this was going to be spiral bound, and it is not. It is like regular bound. So I'm probably going to beat it up a little bit throughout the year, but I'm okay with that. For Sabbats, she does seem to have full page. Let's see if I can find one to show you. Yeah, here we go. For Sabbats, she also has full pages with a bit to color and then a bit about that Sabbat. So I'm really excited about this. And I think near the back, oh yeah, there's an about the artist page. I thought there was something else, but that is it. There are not a lot of blank pages in here. There are a couple of like just simple blank pages in the very back that you can use to test markers or whatever. It's got a nice matte cover. Like this is the one that's going to travel with me. This is what lived in my purse all year with me. This one's going to live in my purse all year. It is a little longer, which is kind of a bummer. I wish it was a bit shorter. But it's like I'm going to use the crap out of this the way that I've used the crap out of this year. So this is going to be my planner. My daily tarot and oracle draws will go in here. Any of the kind of day-to-day stuff that I don't need to save. So the stuff that I'm doing, like my daily routines, that sort of thing, in here. My intention setting probably a little bit in here. But I also have picked up, we'll see how this goes, but I've also picked up a moleskin, however you say that, dot grid, like leatherish feeling, fake leather bound book. And this one is just for comparison's sake. So this is this 2018 bullet journal. This one is thinner and a little taller again, soft. I think it's probably got a similar number of pages. Mine is like all full of like paper clips from when I showed you. This is going to be for things like magical journaling, where I map out a page, or like tarot spreads I want to keep, or tarot spreads I'm designing, or magical workings that I do and some notes on them so that I can refer back. So anything I want to keep and refer back to that's not specific to a time, like if it's just chronicling like a tarot reading I just did for myself, I'll probably do that on my computer or in my regular planner somewhere, like maybe just make a few notes. Because I don't do a lot of heavy journaling about my spreads. I mostly just know what cards I pulled. This is going to be for stuff I want to keep, like my gemstone notes, any of that kind of stuff that's handwritten can go in here. Any ritual notes after my own personal workings. This is meant to be more of an experiential journal, so the kind of thing where if I want to go, what did I do last time somebody needed healing and I was doing a working for healing, I can refer back and go, oh, that's what I did and it worked and this was my experience. So kind of a working magic journal in a way. So that's my plan for this book. And so this will stay probably at home and near my ritual space so that I can have access to it. And I'll just add stuff to it as it occurs to me to add stuff to it. And hopefully this will carry through multiple years. We'll see how much I end up putting in it, but we'll see. But for my Book of Shadows, and this is the thing I'm the most excited about, and I will credit, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I have it written down. I will credit where I got this idea, because I got this idea off of YouTube. Forget leather-bound books for a second. Just roll with me on this process, or on this idea. Just like clear your mind of preconceived ideas of what a Book of Shadows is going to look like. Welcome to my Amazon Basics expanding file folder. Yep, that's right. Expanding file folder. When I saw this idea on YouTube, I had such a moment because I was like, yes, that is what I need. And so it makes perfect sense to me. Like, you can put stuff in it, you can take it out, you can easily access the information you want to access. There's no 3 rings to mess with. There's nothing like that. And so I have pre-labeled my sections here, and I have very little in it because I stopped trying to keep a Book of Shadows a long time ago because of all the aforementioned issues. But so I have here a section for all 8 of the Sabbats. I have a section for herbs, rituals and spells, divination, tools. I might change that around because I can, because it's an expanding file folder. But what's nice about this is that if I get a nice page, like in a witchy subscription box, for example, about moon magic, I can stick that in my rituals and spells section immediately. There's nothing I need to transfer, nothing fancy I've got to do, I just stick it in there. My page on the magical wand is in the tools section right away. It's magic. Like, it's actually magical. I have a Samhain ritual in the Samhain section, you know, and so that I can, anything that I have a positive experience with that I know I'm going to want to work with, I can just stick in here. And when I'm like, hey, what do I have in my Mabon folder? Let me remind myself. Maybe I'll plan something for Mabon this year. I can go into my Mabon folder and pull out things I decided to keep from previous years. Right here, like that. Which means that if there's something specific to correspondences or something specific to tools or something specific to divination or whatever that I want to keep and refer to forever and ever and ever, I'm going to stick it in here. So this is sort of my permanent holding place. This is sort of my working journal that will probably fill up and be replaced by more as I see things I want to keep that are more experiential. And sorry about that. Tech fail. I went to like clear a reminder that came up on my tablet, which I'm filming on, and it just like, it stopped my recording. It didn't let it just continue. Imagine that. Anyway, so recap. I'm going to be using this for planning and for daily tarot pulls and the kind of stuff that is not relevant to me to keep long term. So the kind of day-to-day organizational stuff. I'm going to be using this to chronicle workings and experiential things that I want to be able to refer back to as an experience, but that aren't necessarily specific to time, things I want to keep, but handwritten things, so ritual experiences, spell experiences, notes on things I maybe want to try, like just more magical working related. And then this is my Book of Shadows, where if I like something enough to want to keep it forever and ever and ever, I can type it up on something pretty, or if I see something cool online that I want to just print for myself and refer back to, I can print it out and stick it in its appropriate section in here. So this is my Book of Shadows. You know what I mean? Actually, kind of, I suppose these two things combined is my Book of Shadows. I know this probably seems really convoluted to some of you, but it makes sense to me because I'm not going to be spending a whole lot of energy creating planner pages for myself. I'm going to work with an established structure. I'm going to have a place to be really freeform. And then I have a place to just keep stuff. And to me, this just totally makes sense. The only thing I'll be carrying around with me is this one. Because I don't do magical workings when I'm on the go or at work typically. And if I do, I can always make quick notes on my phone or on a computer and then write it in to my magical journal or pop it into my Book of Shadows when I get home. So I really am excited about this. I know that this has been a crazy long video. Well, I kind of shared the walkthrough of what I've done before and sort of my intention for next year. But what's neat about this is this allows me to still be really freeform when I want to be with this guy, but not clutter up my sort of fun, deeper stuff with my day-to-day planning because I really want those things separate. I will try to remember to reflect on all of this at the end of 2019 and share it with you and see what I will change for the next year, because I think that's important to constantly reevaluate and figure out what works and what doesn't. Before we go though, there's one last thing I want to show you. So what I'm going to be doing for December is, this is from Tarotize, so Tarotize on Instagram. And this is the 2018 Tarot Review. Now I printed this up in booklet format, but what it is every day for the month of December, there is a prompt for 2 cards that really helps you to reflect on your past year and sort of what it's been like for you. And this is the challenge I'm going to be working with through 2018. So I've actually got this typically tucked in to my bullet journal in the back so that when I get to December I can work with that and fill in my notes. So if you want to check that out, oh, I'll put the link. I'll put it in the description box below as well, but it's www.angelorum.co. So angelorum.co. So if you want to print it, or if you just want to look at it online and follow along, but I think that's really cool. They're all 2-card prompts, and so for example, day 14 is healing. Pull 1 card for your ability to self-heal in 2018, and the 2nd card for where you will need to apply this skill, to your healing skills in 2019, that's this one. So yeah, there's some cool stuff in there. I think it'll be fun throughout December to sort of reflect on 2018. And yeah, so that is what I'm doing. It's my own thing. I kind of just came up with a multi-part system, and there you have it. So if you hung out with me this long through this very long ramble of what I'm going to be doing for my planning and bullet journal and Book of Shadows for 2019, thank you so much. I will try to keep you posted. I do have some ideas about maybe doing some videos showing me coloring in some of these pages, maybe sped up so that you can see me doing some of the work in here. So if that is something you're interested in, definitely let me know down below. I love to watch those videos. I find them relaxing. So it would just be me coloring and then probably some music or something, and on sped up, you know, so you can kind of see a page take form. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely let me know down below. But otherwise, I will talk to you all again very soon. Bye!